Well, German Chancellor Angela Merkel has said Germany will leave Afghanistan with other coalition forces on the 31st of August. The announcement came as part of the Chancellor's address to the German Parliament as her government seeks retroactive approval for its military mission in Afghanistan, the largest in Bundeswehr history. Opposition parties have heavily criticised the government's handling of the withdrawal. And Chancellor Merkel has called on Western countries to continue their support for local support staff even after coalition troops have gone.
The end of the airlift, which US President Joe Biden adhered to, he didn't give us an extension yesterday, means that this will be the end of our efforts, and that will mean supporting the Afghan staff that are even more desperate now than they were when the Taliban first took over. And we must protect them. And this means that we are working intensely in the days remaining us to find ways to continue to help those who helped us, to offer protection, not least through civilian operations of the airport in Kabul. And it's also about offering humanitarian support for those who need this help more than ever.
Well, let's get more on Chancellor Merkel's speech to the German Parliament with DW's chief political editor, Michaela Kufner, who is there at the Bundestag. Welcome, Michaela. Despite admitting that, quote, we were all wrong about the speed of the Taliban victory, end quote, the Chancellor was in no mood to apologise.
No, she wasn't. She actually said that the initial aim had been achieved, which was to prevent any terrorist attack to start from Afghanistan's ground once again. Although, of course, that we're heading into new territory there altogether, with IS already being reported to arrive at the scene. She said she would do several things now. Some 600 million euros have been earmarked for humanitarian assistance through UN agencies, but also to support countries in the region, not to hand over to a Taliban government. That she made clear. Also, Germany would continue to try and get as many people out as possible. And yes, it wants to talk to the Taliban and get guarantees and to somehow safeguard people who are still stuck there. But that is little to really help calm those fears right now, with the end of this evacuation, of course, being imminent.
And she directly addressed the criticisms that the German evacuation had begun too late.
Yes, she said it's easy to now say that what would have been better in the past. She spoke of difficult choices that needed to be made. She said that one had to decide whether to weaken the government by already pulling people out. There were great fears amongst the previous government, one can say now, that this would start a panic. But the fact is that Germans were amongst the last to realize how dangerous the situation was, even in evacuating their own staff. There is a painstaking search now for where the key mistake was made, but what is clear is that individual ministries were kind of pushing responsibility towards each other, and that doesn't seem to measure up to the magnitude of this collective failure here. So more questions being raised, and if we weren't just 4 weeks away from a general election here in Germany, I dare say that Angela Merkel remaining in office would even be in doubt. But with those elections just a few weeks away, the interesting thing here will be what people will vote for when they go to the ballot box, with Afghanistan, German foreign policy now clearly an election issue.
And I wanted to pick up on that point. So Germans do see this crisis in Afghanistan as being relevant to next month's election.
Absolutely, and there seems to be there have been actually demonstrations in the streets here as well, or not huge ones, but people do feel a responsibility towards those people who were trying to build a democratic state in Afghanistan, and all Germans are watching almost in real time how their own government is simply helpless in a situation. The entire G7 nations appear helpless at this very moment in time, and that's a source of great insecurity. So we have this imminent crisis right now, but this is a political earthquake that has shaken confidence in this government right now, and that is for sure going to play out into this election campaign in the next coming weeks with a lot of confidence that needs to be fought back for.
All right, thank you for that. Chief Political Editor Michaela Kufner.